So why would he use his son's gun? He knew that we would trace it back to that house. It doesn't make sense.
A lot of things don't make sense. Why are nickels bigger than dimes?
That's a good point.
Why does Hawaii have an interstate highway?
Another excellent question.
Why doesn't Tarzan have a beard?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
Why'd the Flintstones celebrate Christmas?
When are you retiring?
TBTM.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
It's Friday. Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
And what we did see is we took them turds and we crammed them in between the number there, so that's 132, 33, 30.
It's embarrassing and it's gross, but at least it's kind of funny.
No dad wants to have this talk with his son, but you're just not eating enough hot dogs.
Well, you have found my flabbergast button, and guess what? You've pressed it.
Hey, look here, why don't we eat us a few thousand bears and you tell me what's buzzing in the big bad city?
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Friday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Oh, you're gonna love the live and tweedle out of this.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
I bought a balloon, and it doesn't mean I think I'm better than everybody else.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where it is a bit of an overcast Friday here, but it's not actively pouring rain, which is kind of a win. And the river is calm right now, my friends. Here on this first day of spring, there were times that I just didn't even know if spring would ever come. And yet here we are, day one of spring with our whole lives ahead of us, and episode 4688 in a collector series here on the near horizon.
Let the fun begin.
As in, we're doing it right now. It's happening, people. Yesterday, we got into a conversation briefly about the kid who, we play audio of this kid a lot. He was, I don't know, being interviewed in some way where he was talking about dreams coming true. And he had like the most charming amount of trouble ever kind of stating his feelings. And we love that kid. We were wondering, though, what's the story on that kid?
It's a beautiful story. I love your story.
So we have an update. We have the story on what was going on with that kid and how he's doing now. I assume. I don't actually know. This is going to be one of those times where my buddy Andrew is presenting me with the update on the situation. Also, it's, as you've probably already been hearing on some of the morning shows, 20 years and 3 days since the Crichton leprechaun story.
To me, it looked like a leprechaun to me.
When the citizens of Mobile, Alabama, specifically the Crichton neighborhood, thought they saw a leprechaun. And we're going to talk about that one of these days. I just promise you. We're definitely 100% going to talk to this guy, though, the aforementioned Andrew Walsh. Longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships he's got. Big travel plans tomorrow.
Gentlemen, to bed, for we leave at 9:30. Ish.
And he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I wish you could smell me right now. It's something I've never said to you before, but boy, do I smell good right now. I spent your intro putting some shea butter infused lotion
7 white people
on
in
my
America
hands.
who use shea butter, and I love
so
this
good.
for
But
you.
then also shout out. Now this is interesting. This is a new phase of my life. Shout out to the listener on Slack who suggested
You're going to start sleeping with one of those kind of head coverings that's silk that keeps your hair in order.
We'll see where that goes. But shout out to the listener on Slack who suggested that I grab some cuticle butter from Burt's Bees. I've never been a Burt's Bees guy. But
cuticle butter?
Well, the thing is...
It's butter made out of cuticles? That sounds disgusting.
It's actually very tasty. It's good. It goes, it's like truffle butter. Like, you don't use a lot of it. You know what I mean? It's going to kind of, a little goes a long way. Yeah. I don't actually have issues with my cuticles themselves, but I told you on the show the other day that I'm getting a lot of dry, like, breaks in my skin right at the tip of my thumb.
We call it Bob fingers.
We call them Bob Walsh thumbs. Yeah, because I used to think it was because he was working so hard every day. Maybe he, like me, was just washing dishes in the winter too much. I don't know. But it was really, really painful, really painful. And somebody said, Burt's Bees lemon butter cuticle cream.
Oh,
and
you're
this
going
stuff,
lemon butter.
I mean, it's all they have, but it smells. I got it from grove.co. It smells wonderful. And honestly, between the shea butter, the lemon butter, like I smell fantastic. This whole room's, and I got some fresh coffee in here. Nice. It's all intermingling. If you were to stop by right now and walk into my office, it would smell so inviting.
I am so jealous of the last part. Well, first of all, I love all of this for you, and I know this isn't maybe, I don't know if you would file this under the category of like self-care or pampering yourself, but I love that you're doing this for yourself, and I should start doing a little bit of it more. Just kind of like, you know, I bought some, like a while ago, I bought some like moisturizer, you know, and I thought maybe before I go to bed, I'll just throw a little moisturizer on and just kind of try to keep things hydrated. And the few times that I've done it, it's felt very like, it's felt very calming, very relaxing, very just kind of like, hey, I'm glad I did that. Or even something like, I got a pedicure. Becca and I got pedicures a while ago. Now, to be honest with you, that didn't turn out great.
For anybody involved. I'm very ticklish. And the other problem was the person doing the pedicure, who I have an extreme amount of like, I really am trying to constantly signal that I do not think I am a superior human, even though I'm sitting on a literal throne while they're literally kneeling at my feet doing a thing on my toes. I kept reminding myself, this is the job these folks do. You're going to tip them a lot, and just maintain eye contact and be friendly, and let's get through this together. But the thing was, the woman, I think, didn't want to cause me any pain, and so she didn't do I do this crazy thing where I, not to be gross, but particularly on my two like big toes, I kind of clip my toenails at the edges in a certain way so that they won't become ingrown, because with the jogging and stuff, that can be a problem. She didn't go quite as hard on that, kind of clipping the edges of them kind of down a bit, because again, she didn't want me to be in pain. And so then I had to end up doing that later on. But all my point is just that, so like 2 stars out of 10.
Yelp review of a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be hearing.
But let's talk more about coffee, because I'm really jealous that you have an ample supply of coffee in your house. Because guess what happened to me this morning, Andrew? I came out here to the studio. I brought this coffee carafe, thermos, this thing that my coffee is made in.
It's like a coffee pot. It's a stainless steel
coffee pot, but very insulated, I guess. I don't know why I feel the need to clarify that, other than to say you can't see how much coffee's in here. It's opaque. It's stainless steel. And this morning I made coffee, and then I got distracted doing other things, and then I came out here and I did my little jog, and then I was just dealing with various things, and then I took my shower, and then it was time to do the show, and then I got all my stuff, and I grabbed the coffee pot, and I came out here, and there's no coffee in the coffee pot, because the 2 feral raccoons that have been living at my house on and off this week drank all of the coffee.
So you mean the beans? You were out of beans or ground coffee, or
I made coffee.
Oh, you made it, and they drank the whole pot. Oh,
my parents drank all of the coffee.
The coffee that you had made for yourself.
That I had, you know, lovingly prepared for myself. That's okay. Listen, I'm slightly exaggerating. I did have like a half of a sip of coffee this morning. I made the coffee. I poured like not even a third of a cup, and I put a little splash of half and half in there, and I had like 2 sips while I was chatting with my dad at like 7:30 this morning. And then I went about the rest of my morning, and then only revisited. I was really excited to have a nice piping hot cup of coffee while talking to you this morning, Andrew. And there's no coffee in there. But the thing is, it wasn't in the sink. It wasn't like the top was off. It was sitting
back.
It was sitting in the coffee machine, where like that's where this thing sits when it still has coffee in it. That's the agreed upon.
Yeah, no. If it's sitting in there and you've made coffee, you assume that there's still coffee in there for you.
Yes,
I agree. Now, you have coffee. Do you want to pause? Do you want to make some fresh coffee for yourself? That might be good.
Can you email me some?
Could I email you some? Maybe when we get to the break before the donors?
I'm fine. I mean, honestly, complaining about it has given me the jolt that any caffeine would have.
That's
so
better than coffee.
You know how it is. You just kind of get it in your mind. Well, I'll be honest with you, Andrew. This is really part of a larger I talk a lot on the show about my little sort of my coat hook moments, my little moments where things I look forward to for weird reasons that are specific to me, but I get excited about these little moments playing out. And one of these little moments actually was it had 80% of it had played out this morning. The last 20% was the coffee.
Yeah.
But here was the first 80%. I now have, Andrew, a very nice looking and functioning undermount sink here in the kitchen island of the Madrona Hill studio. And what that means is I no longer have to wash my coffee cups in the bathroom sink. And by wash, because I never fully wanted to acknowledge the reality of the situation, I didn't even have I didn't bring in dish soap or, a sponge or anything. I didn't have proper equipment in the bathroom of the Madrona Hill studio. I would just, after I got done with the show, I would take my coffee cup in there.
Ball up some toilet paper. You roll up some toilet paper on your hand.
Or just find some on the floor.
Get it nice and wet toilet paper.
Yes.
I'm with you.
No coffin for me.
No.
Just wet toilet paper.
Because we know how toilet paper, how well it reacts to wetness.
And I would just run the water. By the way, there was no hot water in here, even though I have paid years ago for this very expensive and very technically advanced thing. It's like an instant on hot water tank. Are you familiar with these?
No.
It basically just means that you can have hot water in your house or your apartment or whatever, but you don't have a big tank that's full of water that's being warmed all the time. This thing is so powerful that as the cold water comes into it, it instantaneously turns the water hot and then sends it out to whatever you're doing. Point is, I had only cold. It was installed but not hooked up. I had only cold water in the bathroom sink, and none of the proper. I would just dump the coffee out, what was left over. I would run the cold water there. I would use my hand to kind of just mostly clean it just on a visual basis. There was no antibacterial happening. None of the real work of cleaning a cup was happening here. And then I would put it upside down on, and I had a few of these cups just on a little kind of hand towel that had just been sitting in there from whenever. Well, when the sink was fully completed yesterday and fully operational, I came out here and I got, by the way, I did find a scrub mommy under the sink in the main house.
Not a mini, though. You like the minis. You like the scrub babies.
Where about mommies? Where do those fit in? I'm not getting those. Those aren't the ones I was getting from.
Mommies are full size, but they're soft on one side and traditional
By the way,
scrub daddy on the back.
That also applies to real mommies.
Well, they're
full size, but they're soft on one side.
That's why. It is interesting when I start to break down what they're going for with gender in the whole scrub universe, but just kind of leaving.
If you get into some kind of legal trouble, you better hope Scrub Mommy answers the phone and kind of is the one running a little interference with Scrub Daddy.
But I think the thing, and I've actually looked for these. I thought I would surprise you sometime with buying, because you said that you used to stay in some hotels. I know we talked about this recently.
Yeah, the residents.
And they had, I think they called them Scrub Babies.
Baby?
Is that
Scrub
what they called it? Or Scrub Juniors?
I think it's a Scrub Junior.
Yeah, Scrub Baby, I think. I don't know.
Weird.
It sounds like it
what
would
about
be maybe
Scrub
crossing.
Yeah.
What
about?
Exactly.
I'll stop joking there.
Let's be real.
I think I stopped right at the right spot.
Yes, we're gonna get all the way down to Scrub Zygo. But I don't think the things that you like, these little mini guys, I don't think they're for sale to the
they're
general
not on the retail
public.
market.
Yeah. So you found gold, huh? You found a mini.
I did, and in fact, that's a good reminder to me that the next time I'm looking at various hotels, and in an area, if I see a Residence Inn as one of the ones that, for instance, CBS is approving for me to stay at, maybe that pushes me in that direction, just on the chance of getting my hands on some sweet scrub babies, Scrub Juniors. But all of that is to say, last night, I came out, I brought out the dish. I have my Mrs. Meyer's dish soap. I had a Scrub Mommy that was still in the package. It was under my sink. I had some garbage, kitchen garbage bags. And I got the little kitchen area all set up. And I properly washed the cups. And I put them on this really cool drying rack that came with the sink. That's like a kind of a, anyway, you roll it out. It's flat, but it's got these bars. And then it's kind of padded on the end. I put a dish towel under it. I just was really excited about this scene, and I washed all the cups and I stacked them up and I kind of organized some of the kitchen area. And I really think part of my excitement about the coffee this morning was that I was going to have my coffee, Andrew, in this cup. This I feel strangely confident today, Snoopy and Charlie Brown cup.
On that white, what do we say that material is
milk
again?
glass.
Milk glass, yeah, very classic. Very
and
retro.
like for the first time in, I'm going to say a couple of years. Well, since the opening of the Madrona Hill studio for business, for podcasting, I was going to have my coffee out of this cup that had been properly washed and dried. And I was excited about that moment. And then when I went to pour the coffee in and there was none, that moment was ruined for me.
Well, I can maybe turn that frown a little bit upside down because do you have the breaking news sounder by any chance? Because we're going to need the breaking news sounder.
Yeah.
And we're going to need you to check your
TBTL breaking news
text messages on your phone at the same time because I just sent you something that says, guess what's back? Vanessa's Scrub Babies. These sponges were developed and designed for our Scrub Daddy, Scrub Mommy users with smaller hands. The power of Scrub Daddy and Scrub Mommy in a smaller size. And it is called Scrub.
The power of Scrub Daddy compels you.
It does say Scrub Daddy, Scrub Babies. So I'm thinking this is the size. I've never seen these IRL, so I can't guarantee these are the same
That's got to be the same one.
Level ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, and they're affordable, by the way. You can get two of these things for about $9, which seems about right. They'll last you for a little bit. Go to it. Make all your dreams come true today.
Yeah, well, I'm actually pretty psyched about this Scrub Mommy, which again I was confused about the whereabouts or origins of it, but like it.
Oh
it
wait,
was
you
doing,
do have a. So wait, I'm a little confused.
I've got a mommy in here.
It is a mommy, so it's full size, just soft on one side, scrubby on the other.
Full size but soft on one side.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you still feel the appeal of the baby ones though? You liked those baby ones. I'm not
I
exactly
did
sure
like
why.
them at the time.
Maybe
and,
you've moved on.
I think I may have aged out. Or
I'm
something.
sorry. Well, you've aged out of babies. You know what?
Yeah.
There are worse things. There are worse things. I misunderstood that. I thought you were still on this sort of Sisyphean, journey to try to find these tiny guys. But
what I'm saying is, if I'm staying at a Residence Inn and I see one there in the kitchenette, I'm not gonna throw it in my bag.
But you're
know what
not.
I mean?
You're not going to scrubdaddy/mommy.com/babymommy. By the way, speaking of buying things, I am about to hit go on something here. Except maybe I should wait until I'm back from Hawaii, so I'm not getting packages when I'm gone. Not that it's a big deal, but you mentioned that it's spring, and we've been talking about coffee. That is when a middle-aged man's thoughts turn to coffee shandies from Broadcast Coffee. And I'm looking at this now. This is the, and I'll be honest with you.
It is the first day of spring, Andrew.
Exactly, and I think our friend Barry, of course, Barry of Broadcast Coffee. It's why we call him Broadcast Barry.
Yeah. Although he's of so much more now. He's of Black Moon Pizza and Anessa and.
I was going to call him Black Moon Berry, but I think we're going to stick with Broadcast Berry.
Black Moon Berry sounds like he has been rustling horses in the West, and we're afraid of him coming into the saloon.
You're probably right.
Black Moon Berry's coming.
When you said wrestling, though, I saw it more as alligator, like alligator wrestling, like from the swamps.
Sure.
Like here comes Black Moon
Berry. The kind of guy
Berry.
that Lana Del Rey would like. Sure,
most likely, right? Exactly.
I think her husband's named Black Moon Berry.
I think I just got frame mogged by Black Moon Berry.
Brutally frame mogged by Black Moon Berry.
It's been rough over here. But Barry sent us some cans of iced coffee, which you can buy at Broadcast Coffee. Is it broadcastcoffee.com? I believe that's the website. I'm on there now.
I'm going to co-sign that.
But anyway, some of them are also, so if you know what an Arnold Palmer is, and I think most people do, he was a golfer. But it's also the name of a beverage that is half lemonade.
BroadcastCoffeeRoasters.com.
Oh, BroadcastCoffeeRoasters.com. Thanks for the clearance on that, because I'm already on the checkout page, so it sort of messed up what the URL looks like for me. But so if you know an Arnold Palmer, half lemonade, half iced tea, this is replacing the iced tea with iced coffee. So it's half lemonade, half coffee. It is a distinct flavor. The first time I drank one of these, I thought I was just opening up a regular can of iced coffee, and it was shocking to me. But I remember where I was. It was going to be my shower iced coffee. I had just gotten done working in the yard. I had gotten a pint glass. I had my round ice in there, and I had poured the iced coffee, which turned out to be an iced shandy, over the ice, and I was getting in the shower, and I was so excited about this, and the taste sensation just blew me away. I looked at the can. I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't just coffee. This is a coffee shandy. I had to look it up, and I made my own like really poor man's versions of these throughout the summer, just taking like, cold coffee and mixing it with like literally the what is the old time lemonade? Is that the brand of powdered lemonade that I usually have it on hand for my volunteer stuff?
Goodness.
Country Time.
Country Time. Thank you.
I always have Country Time lemonade here during the summertime for my volunteer work. So I would mix some of that up and make my own. But I mean, nothing beats the real thing. And you're right. Like by the time I'm back from Hawaii, I think that real spring will have kicked in. It's going to start feeling very summery, and we're going to get close to Shandy time. Andes love shandies.
I think the first, this came up last time we discussed these, but I think the first time, and I could have been misunderstanding it at the very beginning of this, but I think the first time, are there shandies that also do have like beer in them or alcohol? Does shandy, or am I just thinking of a rattler? Does a shandy ever have an alcoholic component?
I don't know. I'm totally guessing here. I don't know. I would guess that maybe a beer shandy would be lemonade and beer, and so beer would be the component.
A shandy is a refreshing beer cocktail,
okay.
Typically 50-50 or 60-40 mix of light beer and citrus mixer like lemonade. So you're totally right.
So I've never
the first time I heard of a shandy, it was a beer thing, and so when we got those, because Barry was nice enough to send us some of those, I was like, well, I need to really wait until I'm in the right frame of mind for this, like, I need to, where I'm kicking back or whatever, because this is essentially a beer. And then I remember you telling me, like, yeah, I had one in the shower. It was amazing. And I was like, should we check on Andrew? Is he okay? But I've always thought of them as an alcohol product, but as we've learned from Bear, they don't have to be. I guess the shandying is the mixing of something and the citrus, right? Is that
I guess so.
So,
I mean, I'm kind of learning. I don't know that I ever played in the shandy space before I kind of had this thing, but there are very few food and drinks in my life, or at least putting myself on the spot here, that I can remember the first time I tasted it, and it had that kind of an impact on me, right? And now I'm so looking forward to it. And I didn't get any during the winter because I don't want to delude the experience,
No, it's like listen, now you're speaking my language of this kind of, I don't want to say weird, but this like not depriving yourself, but just setting up very kind of hard and fast rules around enjoying certain things, because those are the things we enjoy during this part of the year and not that part of the year. And the enjoyment of them for me is increased by the fact that I don't have that in the wintertime. I have that in the spring and the summertime. Now, would you consider ordering a shandy, getting a shandy when you're in Hawaii, which is a very typically warm and tropical place? And by the way, how are you feeling about this? You got this trip coming up tomorrow. I guess would this fall into the category of big weekend plans?
I am actually not heading out tomorrow. Heading out on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still part of the weekend.
The biggest one I've ever had. Big weekend.
Yeah, I think our flight is kind of midday, but even Genevieve, who runs very much like you when it comes to kind of airport travel, is saying that we should be leaving ourselves a lot of time at the airport after hearing a lot of horror stories regarding getting through security during this partial shutdown situation. And so you definitely don't want to be stuck back here while we watch our plane fly off to Hawaii without us. So we'll be getting to the airport, I think, pretty early. Probably, I think our flight's at noon. We'll probably get there around 6, 7 in the morning. No, I'm not sure, but it is a midday flight. So that is the good thing. Like, I think both our flight there and back are like ridiculously comfortable. Exactly what I like. Not having to wake up super early to catch a flight, but also...
you mean like 7 a.m. like I'm flying out on Sunday to go to Florida?
That's your flight takeoff time, 7 a.m.? Yeah, so getting, for me, that would mean getting to the airport around 5. I know that you don't do it quite that excessively, but...
No, dude, like, I'm with you on this. Like, it looks like... It looks very, sort of dicey out there. And I probably won't get there at 5, but I'm not going to get there at 6. If that makes any sense. I'm equally scared about this.
Yeah. So I am. So I love that we got these flights. Genevieve booked these flights, and there's just sort of perfect. Is the other side of that coin as well. we're taking a flight that is at like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 in the afternoon or evening, well, then that leaves you in this position where you're waiting around all day for your flight, especially if you're already on vacation. Like, we've had to do this a few times where it's like we're checking out of the hotel or wherever we're staying at 11 a.m., and now we have 6 hours just to kick around and wait for our time to go to the airport. So anyway, all the travel looks pretty comfortable, God willing, and the creeks don't rise, as you like to say. And by hopefully, and the time change works in our favor.
That really works in your favor going
heading
back
out there. Yeah, so we should be arriving around 1 in the afternoon or something on Saturday, I think. I'm sorry, on Sunday, which will still give us plenty of like sort of that, and that's a great time to arrive on vacation too, I think. Like midday, you don't have a full vacation day ahead of you. You can unpack, you can kind of get settled, but there's still time to go to the beach, you still get that sunset or whatever. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
So you've got tomorrow to like pack and get ready to go and everything. And then I'm guessing you also were you able to negotiate a buffer day on the way back?
I think we're flying back either Saturday or I think we're flying back on Saturday, which means I have all day Sunday. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I obviously well, it's funny that I say this because I have historically been, the kind of person who, if I'm coming back from a trip or if I'm going on a trip and I'm excited about the trip, it's a vacation, I'm like, I'd rather just, have Sunday there wherever we are, and I'd rather get to enjoy the day and then fly home, and then I'll just get, hit the hay when I get home, etc. You're more of a get back maybe a day before and then have a day to kind of reintegrate, decompress, do all that stuff. That is very much how Becca is wired. And now as a result of traveling with her and knowing that like that's her preference, so if I'm the one booking the travel, which is how it tends to go, I tend to go towards that because I just know that like I could push it. I could be like, well, sorry, that's what we're doing. But I also know that's going to stress her out. I think I'm starting to kind of ever so slightly come over to the buffer day side of things.
They're wonderful days. First of all, one thing for me is whenever I get home, no matter how late at night or middle of the day or whatever, I will fully unpack my bag. Like, I do not like to let it set.
100% Becca's move.
Oh, I thought I was going to say your move. You get everything out of there. You get a load of laundry running immediately. You're washing all your vacation clothes, and then you're just like puttering around. I mean, maybe you pop yourself a little gummy or something, put some Columbo on the TV, and just like put everything back to where it came from.
Close the things that close.
We close the things that close.
Yeah, because like we're going to be, and by the way, we're still going to be doing shows next week. We've got a bunch of great programming, everybody, involving me and Andrew and some special guests, and it's going to be a good week of shows. But I'm going to be doing the Monday show from Florida.
Why are you in Florida? Just vacationing as well?
I'm doing a TV story about this guy in Cocoa Beach who is an opera singer by training, but the opera work is a little slow down there in the greater Orlando area, and so he had to get kind of a day job, and it is selling used cars. And at some point he decided, why don't I bring together my two passions? And so he's been doing these local car commercials where he sings opera in them, and they've become a hit in that part of Florida. So I'm going to go talk to this guy. I'm going to go out on the car lot with him. I'm going to get to experience this opera singer turned car salesman in Florida. But then I'm going to come up to Seattle. Becca's going to come meet me, and then we're going to hang out in Seattle for a few days and go to opening day for the Mariners and all that.
Oh, so Becca is not going to Florida with you. This is a work-only thing.
This is a work-only thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be doing TBTL and filming stuff most of the days. It's also, listen, and we've probably got listeners that live down in this area. It's, you know what it really came down to? Like, back to the hotel stuff. I don't know if you've heard, Andrew. It's a tumultuous time at the Columbia Broadcast System, a.k.a. CBS. And they have...
Wait, Whiskey Fridays are locked in, though, right?
That's a non-negotiable.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that's
Shandy
still
Fridays
good.
remain
Shandy
locked in.
Ooh, yikes.
Shander days, that's on the chopping block. Shander days are being eliminated, but Whiskey Friday is still happening. But and so like I was really sort of shocked when because it's Florida, and it's like, hey, well, that could be kind of fun. And in my earlier days of doing these TV stories, I was pleasantly surprised often at what the selection of hotels were that CBS or Paramount or now Skydance had negotiated these rates with. Sometimes they were pretty nice hotels. Kind of a fun thing to get to go to a new town and stay in a nice place. Well, they have really, I don't know if they've stopped negotiating properly or if they just, like, it is not uncommon now to be going somewhere and to, let's just say the city is Cocoa Beach, Florida, and there are no hotels within 20 or 30 miles that are available at the price point that CBS is willing to authorize.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 'cause I'm looking. I didn't know where Cocoa Beach was, and so I immediately looked it up on the map, and I didn't realize that it's on the Cape there, right above Cape Canaveral, or right.
Yeah, it's
below
right by like the Space Coast or whatever.
Okay, so this is like a pretty nice place to stay, I would guess, if you were vacationing and not working, or not. Is it more of an industry area?
Well, here's the thing. I've never been there, so I don't think. My sense is that, the entire sort of Atlantic and I would guess Gulf of Mexico coasts of Florida are nice places to be and have some nice hotels. I don't think this is, West Palm Beach. I don't think it's the toniest area of the Florida coast, but I also don't think it's, I'm not going to name any city or area because then that will be offensive to people who are there. But point is, I was like, I'm going to be staying, at like the, the Roadway Inn in Kissimmee or something. Like, I could not find a hotel that was approved that was like anywhere near the beach or that was kind of above like a 2-star. And maybe this speaks to my intense privilege and how spoiled I've been. But really, when I looked it over and I figured out also the itinerary and the schedule, which is going to be kind of fly in, do a bunch of stuff, fly out. All this is to say, I said to Becca, I don't think this is going to be like a super fun. This isn't going to be a fun Florida vacation. Also, side note, we were just in Miami. Like a month ago. That was a super fun Florida vacation. So anyway, we're meeting in Seattle. This is a long way of me saying I decided, we're going to come back on Saturday instead of Sunday because I self-reported. I self-reported to jail, to buffer day jail. I literally was one that was like, I could probably use a buffer day. I could probably use that Sunday back home, kind of just get everything in order, probably do some low-key, probably do some yard work. And be ready for Monday morning. So that's a very, very time-consuming way for me to say, I think I may have seen the light on the buffer day thing.
Speaking of yard work, though, you've triggered me a little bit, and you don't owe me an apology for that. There is no way for you to know that you were triggering me, but you did trigger me, and I want that on the record because we are getting near yard work season, and I do think that Vives and I don't know if this is just occurring to me now, but I think we might have an accidental tradition of taking trips around this time, maybe near the end of winter, because I do feel that, and this doesn't even apply to our time in Seattle only, but also maybe in New Hampshire, that we would maybe go on a trip and then come back and spring is sprung, sort of. God, I wish I had a sound for that. Like, what is the sound of spring? Yes, actually, something like that. I'm glad you have that. But anyway, and so I'm kind of ready when I get back to be drinking shandies and mowing the lawn and everything. But Luke, because of all of this work that's going on in our house and around our house, our garage is basically unpassable right now. It's still got just a lot of big, heavy wood in there and all kinds of like tools and equipment. And the lawnmower is all the way in the back. Now, about 3
borrow one from your
ago,
across the street neighbor.
Yeah, right.
The sign enthusiast.
Yeah, exactly. He'll throw it in the middle of the street. But anyway, I was looking in there yesterday because about 3 weeks ago there was some there was some very long grass that honestly I should have trimmed before winter set in that had been kind of driving me crazy all year. And then when we had some nice weather a little while ago, I was like, this cannot stand anymore. It was looking really bad, and it's right outside my window here. So I actually spent a day, I think you spent a day doing some real yard work. I spent a day sort of getting things in order and getting the what we like to now call a whippersnipper, or a weed eater, as I called it, growing up. That I was able to get access to, and so I did some really good cleaning up of the stuff that needed to be cleaning up. Everything is fine in the yard right now, but I did have a moment of panic, and this is a problem in my life where I'm, as Genevieve would say, maybe borrowing trouble, or as my friend Aaron would say, forward tripping or something like that. Like
future tripping.
Like everything is fine. Everything is fine right now. But I was standing in the garage getting kind of an uncomfortable feeling, my heart rate going up a little bit, looking at how inaccessible my lawnmower is and all of the things that I would need to mow the lawn, and thinking I'm going to need to mow the lawn at some point. what will the condition of my garage be at that
What
point?
if
Because
my
these are
dog
not my
doesn't
tools.
like the sound of the lawnmower?
What if my dog doesn't like the sound of the lawnmower? We have to sell the house so that me and the dog can go on the road together with little bindles and ride the
Actually,
rails. That's
kind
pretty
of a
cute.
silver lining,
It's
honestly.
pretty
I
cute.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be that mad about that, but
Do you think I'd be good at riding the rails? That's probably a lifestyle that'd be good for me. How many showers do they have on those boxcars?
Okay, that part would be hard for you, but you impressed me, Andrew, with our hitchhiking trip that we did in the Midwest. You were game for that, and you were out there on the side of the road. You made a good sign. Granted, we were not as successful at the hitchhiking as we wanted to be, but you were up for that. You showed me that you could be you could ride the rails.
Well, you know, the thing.
Do we say we don't say hobo anymore? Right?
I guess not. Yes.
Do we say hobosexual when a woman finds out that the guy who's been crashing with her and is her boyfriend actually is just kind of a shady guy? Because I think that's one of the greatest. One of the greatest.
Oh,
things
that's
I've seen
actually
on
out
TikTok.
there. That's a term going
I didn't
around?
make that up. It's basically like women comparing notes on like they meet a guy. Andrew. Could you imagine if I have a specific guy in mind who might fit this bill? Like basically the women comparing notes on like meeting a guy and like you hit it off and maybe you start dating and he's kind of in between places or there's just some kind of mystery around it and he's kind of like he stays at your house a couple of times and then suddenly he kind of is kind of living with you, kind of couch surfing, but at your place. And then
How'd that happen?
His stuff is here, and then you realize at some point he's a homosexual. He just stealth moved into my place,
and he doesn't have.
He
a
never
home
had a
of his
place,
own. Yeah.
and he didn't let me know that, and now here he is. Anyway, I don't know if we're allowed to say hobo anymore. But
I
we're
don't
not
know
allowed
either.
to, but I don't know if that's
Ask
the
John
proper
Hodgman.
nomenclature. Right? I know
He's a guy who really
an
has to
entire
figure that
entire
out.
literary career built on it. But
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. I was gonna say though, I'll figure out the lawn mowing situation. I just you brought that up, and it reminded me of that moment of panic that I had yesterday.
I mean, I'm starting to wonder if, and we've got lots to talk about today, including the full story on the Dream Kid, but like, I'm starting to wonder if Elon Musk's dreams of an electric future are a little overblown, Andrew. And by that, I mean, you know how I love my electric riding mower, my Ryobi? I've even learned how to change the blades on it. I now have by the way, my tire inflation. Remember, I bought a rechargeable little tiny air compressor. Worked like a charm. Just absolutely pumped up those tires on my riding lawnmower very effectively. But I'm wondering if it has. Here's the thing: all of my neighbors. Well, that's not true. 2 of my neighbors have riding lawnmowers, and they of course have the gas-powered kind. And it seems to me like they've got more torque, thrust. Like I never see them. Like I have to do a lot of babying of this riding mower when the grass is long and wet, as it is right now. I'm looking out at my yard, as I so often am, and like I have to be really strategic about how So if the lawn is too long, what I have to do is start off and try to mow it at like maybe 3 inches.
Yeah, good.
You can change. You can kind of change the. I mean, that's barely making a difference, but it's taking it down enough that it's kind of like then I can do the whole lawn at 3 inches, but now my battery power is kind of getting pretty low. So then I've got to recharge it a little bit and maybe come back and hit it at like 2 inches.
And you have one battery?
I have one battery.
Yeah.
It's not even, I mean, it's, maybe you could take it out. I've never even seen the battery. It seems like it's very integrated into it's not.
Oh, you plug the whole damn car in, or the whole
you plug the whole
in.
damn mower in to a charging thing. Okay. It's not part, even though it is a Ryobi, it's not one of those things where I can take a battery out and plug it in. It's kind of part of the deal. And like, and what I realize is it's like the things that are great about it is it's environmentally better, it's quiet, but things that are less good about it is I don't think it's as effective. It's just a good old fashioned Toro that's gas guzzling. And so, I mean, I'm gonna keep riding this Ryobi until it stops working. I'm not about to change to a gas-powered one, but I wonder if it was one of those things where like I jumped on the electric riding mower train a little before they had fully. Like, I bet you if you buy one right now, it's a lot better than the one
I was
going to
say, I'm kind of surprised
ago.
to hear that, to be honest with you. The charging thing is the charging thing. And in fact, even my little push mower, and we're talking about very different lawn care situations here, but even my push mower, it only has one battery, and it usually does not quite make it through the entire yard that I need to do. But what I'll do is I'll take that battery out and then charge it when it's getting low, and then I'll switch to weed eating for a while, which is also an electric thing, and I only have one battery for that. So then I'll weed eat for a while, or whippersnip, whatever. We're inclusive here. It's a big tent.
Yes.
And then while the other one
Hobo
is charging, and then kind of go back and forth. But this year, I think I'm going to get a second battery for mine, because batteries, the longer they're in existence, the less of a charge they hold, and I think that's going to make a huge difference in my lawn mowing if I'm ever able to access my lawnmower again.
So worth it. I mean, for the other stuff that I have, everything else in the Ryobi family of products I have, they all use the same, I think it's like maybe 40-volt battery, and I've got like 4 chargers that are just charging those 40 volts sort of constantly. So those ones are great. The thing is that, the lawnmower needs like a something that's more substantial. But
the problem
again,
is you're not. I hate to say this. It's going to sound accusatory.
Yeah.
I think the problem is you're not a real people, and you didn't steal people.
No,
you
that's
went with
right.
Ryobi.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just worried about going to prison for life
for stealing
with
people.
The stealing people.
For people
I just
who
thought it
don't-
wasn't worth it for mowing the lawn.
We are really getting into real people steal people territory. And that's another thing.
It's almost real people steal people time of year.
Exactly. Along with coffee it's the time of year where a middle-aged man's thoughts turn to real people stealing people and coffee shandies, because Steel, the power equipment company, is a big underwriter of your Seattle Mariners, and so there's a lot of commercials where I believe the slogan is still "real people steal people," which still sounds like a threat to me.
But you know what it won't be, Andrew? It won't be, it's not the water season anymore.
Right? Blazing.
Because of the fact that, and people have been reaching out to this. You know that our brand is very strong with
bagel, beagle, boggle, boogle.
with Blazing Bagels that went out of business.
Yeah, apparently
it's
they
not
went
the
out
water guy. Big Mariners sponsor as well, certain years.
Blaze of glory, I would assume. It's kind of sad to hear that. I didn't go there a lot. I tried a couple of times. They had a new location that opened up in the University District, or that's not really the U District, right? That's more like University Village area.
Was it in U Village?
Kind of by 6. It's like kind of at 65th, like if you were taking the back way into U Village, kind of where your Burgermaster used to be, kind of.
Yeah.
Kid Valley. Area. Or Kid Valley, I always get that wrong. But anyway, so it was kind of in that area. But I stopped in, I think I tried it twice, but it was one of those times where, and you know what, maybe this is an indicator of some things they had going on, or I chalked it up to being kind of that weird post-pandemic time when things were open but staffing was really hard or whatever. A couple of times I went in there, I think I ended up leaving because one time it was randomly closed, and another time it just seemed chaotic in this way that I was like, I don't think that I'm all in on this thing.
Is it possible it was the water?
Maybe it was the water. And again, I'm not saying that to dance on their grave. That was a while back, and I remember even thinking, I'm not complaining about this. This is the weirdness of the times. But apparently the people who originally ran the place had, I think they retired, right? And
it was the guy. It's not the water guy who had founded it, who had stepped away. I think I was reading in the Times maybe a year or so ago, but I think it was being run by his
daughters, his 2 daughters. I want to say 2 daughters. Yeah.
And what's interesting that I didn't expect was, I believe one of them, her name is Whitney Ballin, is a singer of note in Seattle.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Unless there's 2 Whitney Ballins, which is a very specific name, they were the Times was reaching out to her for a quote about the sort of, what's going on with Blazing Bagels, and she was talking about it in her capacity as the person in charge of Blazing Bagels. I was like, isn't that singer that I like?
Interesting.
It's a kind of small
singer-songwriter style.
Yeah, just kind of but anyway, I didn't realize that singer's dad was It's Not the Water guy.
Yeah.
It's a surprise to me.
I don't know. They just sort of made it sound like the business. They didn't get into details. One thing I like is they didn't a lot of businesses go out of business, and when they do, in Seattle, they like to take a swipe at Seattle culture or politics or something along the lines of that. And there was none of that in there. There was no blaming.
He actually specifically said it's not the politics.
It's not the taxes. It's not
Katie Wilson.
It's not the fact that we actually have to pay our employees a livable wage. There was none of that. It was just like, it sounds like the business just wasn't working, and it started with maybe their wholesale business as well, which I guess they were selling bagels to grocery stores and stuff, and then I think that was the first operation to sort of shutter. So, yeah, that's sort of a bummer.
Blazing Bagels.
Yeah,
we had some listeners who were associated with that place, and we got a lot of mileage out of those commercials, which I thought were pretty great.
Yeah, and shirts. I still have mine.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle. Everybody.
All right, let's thank some dazzling donors. These are a couple of folks that we're going to thank today who are donating to the show each month, or maybe they donated at the thon in a lump sum, but they are keeping TBTL in business. This is 100% listener-supported podcasting here, and it's thanks to Erica Mittendorfer, who's in Seattle, Washington.
Erica, thank you.
Erica, we've been saying Erica's name for many, many years on this show. Erica, thank you. Erica says, I'd like to use my 15 seconds of TBTL fame to thank Luke, Andrew, and John for being part of my days since 2012.
Wow.
This really is special. Wow, Erica. It's a good run. 13, 14 years we're talking about?
Yeah.
I'd also like to thank Sarah Nichols-Smith, realtor and sponsor of this dazzling donorship, for helping sell, then buy a home in 6 months in a tough Seattle market. Whoa. So our friend, and can I say, Andrew, a real estate agent you have also worked with?
Yes, of course. Our friend and personal realtor to the stars, Sarah Nichols-Smith.
That's right.
Yes.
And by that we mean bingo.
Yes.
Sarah Nichols-Smith obviously also was the real estate agent to Erica.
Yes, and
we talked
I think what happened was Sarah Nichols-Smith said if anybody wants to take advantage of my services, hire me to buy or sell a home, and I will offer up a dazzling donorship in your name. And I think that's exactly what we have here, which is awesome for like a zillion different reasons.
I love to see this. Yeah, this kind of like 10s working with 10s, and then 10s sponsoring 10s on dazzling donor messages. It's all coming together. We talked, this is Erica talking about her time with Sarah Nichols-Smith. We talked in TBTL drops throughout the process. Jalapeno! 100% would recommend.
Nice.
Can you imagine the looks on the faces of the notary?
Yeah, right.
As paperwork is being signed, and as people are just saying, like, let the fun begin.
Well, I was wondering how much of that actually ended up in the paperwork as well, too. That's an interesting thing to contemplate.
Yeah, right, contractually.
Right.
Like, we, seller will present the home clean as your mama's forehead.
Very good.
Buyer will get the keys at either 1:30, 2:30, or 3:30. Now, for something near and dear to my heart, if you live in the greater Puget Sound area and you want to get outside or try a new activity with cool people, including me, check out the Mountaineers. They're a nonprofit dedicated to helping people explore the beauty of Washington safely with many activities to choose from. They also work to conserve the wild places that need help now more than ever. Come on, join us. I also met my 11, Justin, via their hikes, though it is not a formal dating service. Go to mountaineers.org or reach out to chat. Let me just, I'm gonna give the LB summary. It's like the AI summary, but somehow even less accurate. The LB summary of what Erica is saying is, if you live in the PNW and you're interested in buying a house or selling a house, reach out to Sarah Nichols-Smith. If you're interested in getting out to the great outdoors, definitely check out the Mountaineers. And low key, if you wouldn't mind meeting somebody interesting, although it's not a dating service, it worked for Erica.
It worked for one person, but past results do not guarantee future performance.
There you go. Exactly. Erica says there truly is no mountain too tall. She would know.
Exactly.
What with being in the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
Isn't that band that does that Hey Ho song? I love them.
That is that band, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the Lumineers.
Oh,
Close,
you're
though.
right. There's an ears in there.
Erica says, "Power out." Thank you, Erica. We really do appreciate it, and congrats on the house, Maestro.
Let's turn that 11 into a 10, shall we?
Yeah, that's a project for 2026.
Ready, go!
Everybody rattle, daddle.
Well, if it isn't Brant Severson of Moraga, California, in the East Bay between Berkeley and Walnut Creek.
Well, we all knew that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
But I appreciate the detail.
I would love to steal the valor of that and act like I just knew that off the top of my head. That is in Brant's, submission here. I would have guessed that Moraga, California. We've talked about it before. I know we have, but I would have guessed it was more Central California, and I would have been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know where it is. And I know that Brant has said this in his message. He says, "I started listening during the pandemic." Whoa, Brant.
Well, you're a mere baby. You're like a scrub baby.
Exactly. I am fascinated, Andrew, at the family structure of the scrub devices.
Right, yeah.
Scrub daddy, scrub mommy, scrub baby, scrub stepbrother, who scrub daddy tries to basically treat like his own scrub child, but like there are times when you can see he's getting a little more mad.
Can I just
at
put
scrub
it?
stepchild?
I'm not the scrub daddy. I'm the daddy who scrubbed up.
Scrubbed up.
Yeah, I think is what you're looking for there.
God, I love that Funches bit. I love that so much. Brant says, "I started listening during the pandemic based on a recommendation from another podcaster." Hey, look who it is, Sam Dingman.
Oh, it's Sam, our old pal.
Our favorite baseball podcaster, Sam Dingman. My first episode was episode number 3294 on 11/16/20, and I felt like I'd found two friendos right away. Aw, Brant, does my heart good. While I've never gone back and listened to earlier episodes, I've listened to every episode since. I enjoy it all. I rarely feel like I need to throw my phone. Well, that's good. That puts you in, I would say, a small percentile of the listeners, Brant, but okay. So I have a lot of gratitude for the community and the kind banter 5 days a week. When I first listened, I was moved by Andrew's feelings around aging and then passing a good old cat, Theo, as I recall. I think Brant recalls accurate. We were just talking about Theo the other day on the show.
Yeah, I see. I was a little confused there. So not talking about my own aging, but the aging of my old cat, Theodore, who eventually did pass
no,
on.
you're talking about your aging is very upsetting to Brant, and Brant would rather we did that less.
It's a little bit awful. I mean, it ranks with you talking about how you cut your toenails.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Or didn't. 2-star Yelp review.
Yes.
Since then, I've really enjoyed hearing about Professor Bananas and Bubbles, and now, of course, Bingo. This is will this be the this is not going to be the longest you've been away from Bingo, Andrew, is it?
No. We've taken other trips before. Yeah.
The cat talk motivated me to adopt a cat in March of 2021. 13-year-old Tiger. I formalized his name to Eldrick. If you're a golfer, you know. I believe that's Tiger Woods' government name.
Oh,
is
that's
Eldrick.
interesting. I did not know.
I don't believe Earl Woods named his son Tiger, although that would have been pretty sick. And enjoyed 4 great years with him until he crossed the Rainbow Bridge last June.
Brant, I'm sorry.
I mean, listen, I don't. We don't need to. If we start going down this road, we'll be here till sunup. But there's something really special about people that and the relationships. And I haven't done this myself, but I've heard this from people who I know who adopt an older animal and get to really bond with that animal and make the last portion of that animal's life really special. Oftentimes animals that have maybe not had the greatest first couple of phases. And so that's so cool, Brant, that you and Eldrick, you and Tiger got to hang out for those 4 years. He had a fantastic last few years and brought me and my family and friends so much joy. So my plug is to take the plunge and adopt a pet. And to the guys, keep the pet talk coming, including Gigi and Becca's cat. Oh boy, Holly. Holly is an interesting one. I've only known Holly in her that's Becca's cat, a tuxedo cat, who is extremely stoic. Not rude, not mean, but just like the opposite of Bubbles. Bubbles is active to a fault and all up in everybody and everything all the time. Holly is just happy to chill in a corner of the couch and watch the world go by. I'm still trying to get inside Holly's head. Now, Becca adopted Holly, or, actually, I think maybe Holly was like one of those kittens that was in a box outside of a grocery store kind of thing. when she was just a tiny, teeny, tiny kitten. But I met Holly when Holly was a female cat of large carriage and fully grown. And I can't picture the teeny, tiny version of Holly. I only know this one, but I endeavor to get. I mean, she's 100% less annoying than Bubbles. So she and I have a special bond just based on that.
Somebody sent a video yesterday, totally randomly. A friend of ours sent a video of Bingo when he was just a tiny baby. So they must have come over and, met Bingo for the first time and took a little video and sent it to me and Genevieve just randomly. And there's something about getting a photo or a video of your cat when they were your pet, when they were a little puppy or kitty or whatever it is. And you're just like, just out of the blue like that. It was really, he still had his coloring was still distinct so that he just had a round, almost a perfectly round circle of dark fur kind of framing his face. And that's where I was like, oh, we should have named him Spaceball because he looked like a little spaceball. But then that's sort of
hyperactive mode.
Exactly. So when I see old photos of him, I'm like, oh, there's our old little Spaceball.
I mean, again, we've talked enough about your trip and the return from your trip, but would you say you're more excited to go to Hawaii or to come home on Saturday and see Bingo?
It is weird, man. Like, I know that you think it's a little bit much, but
no.
That's
not my point.
No, I know, but I was where I was met him this morning. I'm gonna miss you so much. And yesterday he was especially so like there are just certain days where he's a little bit more. He's never like aloof, but there are days where he's a little bit more content to just sort of be by himself. Today is a day that Genevieve and I are both working from home, and so he's like going crazy. I mean, you can watch his energy level sort of change based on what's going on. He's like, oh, my friends are here today. So he's like ripping up the house and running around, not causing trouble. And I'm just kind of like, oh, it makes me feel bad because not only are we leaving, and we have a great, a friend who's a house sitter who's going to come and look after him, not stay here, but come a couple of times a day to look after him. But because of the work going on downstairs, we're going to have to seclude him to the upstairs of the house. Now, I know how this sounds. Some cats have to spend many days in some sort of a crate or something if they're being boarded. Not a crate, but you know what I mean? Like a little locker or something. And, he has the whole upstairs of a house. He's going to be fine. But his people are going to be gone. He won't have access to his little windows down here where he likes to watch the rabbits. And I kind of already was feeling a little bit bad for my boy. But I'm looking forward to seeing him when we get back.
Does he? I'm doing this because Brant wants more pet talk.
True.
Also says, here's hoping Andrew and Genevieve adopt a dog as well. Power out. I do think that's on the horizon.
Yes, sir.
But like something that Becca and I have noticed about Bingo, and I don't know if this is something other cats do.
About Bingo?
Sorry, Bubbles.
Oh, okay.
Bubbles, I should say. But you're talking about Bingo kind of like being extra on today because you and Vives are working from home. This is Bingo's move, or excuse me, Bubbles' move. Why did we have to have cats? Why are their names so similar? And can we just change it to Bungo?
Yeah, just one
Can we morph
cat.
them into one name? It'd be easier for me. So last night, I got done doing Livewire. By the way, what a fun show. Thanks to everybody who came out. But I was driving home, and Becca didn't make it because she had some work stuff. So I was calling her, just checking in. And I had texted her. This is like 10:30 at night. I texted her if she was still up. And she was like, yeah, I'm sitting on the couch. I got two cats sitting on top of me right now. Which is
on her. That's great.
I think that's the kind of the default situation there when it's just her. It's her, a crossword puzzle, and two cats.
Oh, sitting on, even Bingo, it has to be a pretty special occasion for him to actually sit on me. Like, it'll happen from time to time, but it's not a given.
For all of Bubbles' kind of like neurodivergence and aloofness and behaviors that I don't fully understand, if you sit on the couch for long enough and it's just you, and this is where I'm going with this, in like at my place or at the apartment, she will come over and she will jump on your lap and she will eventually kind of like circle and then she'll like lay down for a while. And it's like such a great feeling because she's so active most of the time. But then the second that I'm on the phone with Becca, the second that Becca's not paying attention to Bubbles, she's up, she's walking behind the TV, almost knocking it over, almost knocking over this porcelain thing. This happens too when we're at Becca's place together. If we're not just sitting silently, which is, I guess, how Bubbles feels like that indicates attention is being paid to her. If we're talking to each other, Bubbles goes into like a, oppositional defiant disorder cat. And I know this sounds crazy, like we're trying to like read into the mind of this cat, but it's very like, if I'm there like at the place by myself, Becca's doing something else, it's me and Bubbles. Bubbles will come sit on my lap and just chill. If Becca and I are talking, are watching TV, are doing anything that isn't focused on the cat, she just starts climbing on top of the refrigerator. She becomes a problem. And our theory is she's noticing that she's not the object of
absolutely.
attention.
Oh, I don't
Do you think can that be a real thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, cats communicate, and also, like, I see it. I've seen it a million times. Bingo, well, first of all, Bingo's very communicative, and he's always letting us know what he wants, and we keep his little, he's got 2 little toys that are like various toys on the ends of sticks, right? Like one is more of a kind of a metal thing with a feather on the end that sort of whips around a little bit, and the other one is more of a string and a stick with a feather. And we keep them on this one chair, and most of the day it's fine, but when it's time to play, he comes and he gets me, and then he runs to the chair, and then he runs back to me, and then he looks at me, and then he kind of bats at it, and then he looks at me. And then if I don't start playing with him, he's like, okay, I guess I'll make my own fun, Andrew. And he'll literally jump up.
You let him call you Andrew?
Yeah, it's fine.
I wonder there's no discipline in this house.
He will go up on the TV thing, and again, I'm very lucky. He doesn't really cause any kind of real trouble, like a little bit on the couch. He scratches a tiny bit, but he also, I'm pretty sure, does that to get our attention. But yeah, if he's not getting enough attention, he climbs up on the TV thing, and he just, like, one by one, I have like 3 G.I. Joe guys just sitting up there. They're like kind of like taking a lunch break or whatever. And he'll just like take one of them, he just knocks it off, and then he looks at me. And then he goes to the next one, and then he knocks it off, and then he looks at me. And this isn't just like random behavior. This is when I refuse to engage with him with the actual toys that he had tried to get me to play with. Like, they absolutely do things for attention.
But here's what the difference is. There's something that you could do with Bingo that would make Bingo happy, which is you could go play with the little stick thing. I feel like Bubbles will just be knocking stuff off of the counter and just like mean mugging you, but then if you went over and tried to interact with her, she would also be uninterested in that.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
it's why it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like it's just you guys stop talking. Nobody be on the phone. Nobody be on their computer.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Anyway, thanks to our donors. Couldn't do this without you.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
Good, an hour and 3 minutes into the show. It's time for Top Stories, and this is just, I guess, an update on the actual story behind the kid who this was in a dazzling donor message, right? Somebody asked this week, could we play that piece of tape that they really liked?
Good remembering. I couldn't remember why it came up on the show, but yeah, I think it was just yesterday or the day before we played this tape, which has been in the TBTL catalog / lexicon for years and years and years now, probably even predating me, because this went viral on YouTube in like 2011. It's just a kid, and as we described it the other day, he's talking directly into the camera. It's not like kind of accidental footage. He's being interviewed, but the backdrop just sort of looks like it's school picture day at Sears or something, and we're like, what was this from originally?
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
God, slaps so hard. It's just better every time I hear it.
Absolutely. Fine. It's aging like fine wine.
Exactly. And it was interesting that we've played that and heard that so many times and seen it again. It went viral. It's not like we made it go viral so many times, but I'd never really stopped to think like, wait, who was talking to him? Why was he saying this? What was with that backdrop?
Yeah.
And some folks sent us a video that was made by BuzzFeed, I think like 4 or 5 years ago, where they actually interview that kid who's now an adult. And he kind of tells they do. And he seems like a very charming young man, honestly. And kind of coincidentally, about 6 months ago, somebody at Boing Boing, a different publication, wrote, "Whatever happened to the Have You Ever Had a Dream Kid?" And this is Jennifer Sandlin writing for Boing Boing there. What a coincidence that you happen to have that sound effect.
On this, the first day
I'm actually just really stopping to think about how perfect that really was. You did not pull that because you knew we had a Boing Boing article.
No, I didn't know where this. I've done no research on this update.
So anyway, I think the writer Jennifer takes a lot of the information she gets from this YouTube video that was released a few years ago, but does a really good job of sort of kind of summarizing it and contextualizing it in a way that I really like. And basically, he explains that this video was originally from 1999, Luke. And again, what the circumstances were was for some reason that I'm not entirely clear on, HBO was doing a documentary about schools or maybe this particular school. And I think his mom, I want to say his mom might have worked for HBO. There was some connection there. And so an HBO crew came to his school way back in 1999 just to interview a bunch of kids. I don't know specifically what they were trying to get at. I don't think it was related to Pizzagate. I'm not exactly sure. This was 99. So they're just like interviewing kids. And he is asked some sort of question. I'm looking to see what the actual question was. But what I learned is what he's trying to do there is quote something from the movie Hercules. Have you heard this before, or is this brand new information?
The animated show Hercules. Movie Hercules.
I think what it was they asked him whatever questions they were going to ask him, and then I think they said, I didn't have great answers to many of the questions. This is the kid as an adult speaking. But I knew I was going to shine when the producer asked about dreams. See, that's close to my heart right there. And then it says, in that moment, he remembered a scene from Hercules where Hercules gives a speech about dreams. I found this tape. I don't know that it's necessarily a speech, but he tried his absolute best to recite the speech. And at the time, he thought he had done pretty well. Now, here, I'm going to play for you the tape. It's not really so much a speech, at least that I could find. I believe it's this 6 seconds of tape here.
Look, I gotta do this. Haven't you ever had a dream? Something you wanted so bad you'd do anything?
So that
gotta be it.
Is what he's trying to say.
Look, I gotta do this. Haven't you ever had a dream? Something you wanted so bad you'd do anything?
Now let's A and B this.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
Isn't it better now
Nailed
that you
it.
know what he's trying to say?
Oh,
Now,
my God, that's incredible.
There are some more dazzling details in this, because I don't know when the last time you've actually put eyes on this, Luke, is, but what I remember about it is when the kid is talking, his eyebrows are sort of, he's kind of got that worried look on his face, kind of furrowed brow. He's Jennifer Garnering it up a little bit. He looks a little bit worried.
Once Upon a Farm.
Yes. When she starts a commercial saying, as a small business owner, I freak out. It drives me crazy. That's not what you do. That's not what people know you for. Sorry, I got to blow my nose. I was laughing so hard that I just I'm leaking.
By the way,
face.
I just want to echo your previous comment that this is. Well, I've always loved this tape. This is improved by so much, knowing what he was trying to do.
I gotta say,
there's something about the idea too, and I hope I understood you correctly. I love the idea that this kid, when he was done saying this, felt like, yeah, I pretty much nailed that.
Yeah. Well,
I truly hope that was what he thought, because he did in his own way, but also I just love that.
That's literally the quote that he says as an adult addressing this. He says, so I was remembering him like sort of furrowed brow throughout, which it is true, and I've gone back and I watch it. But then he says, at the time, I thought I had done really well. And he says in his BuzzFeed video,
and you had.
Look at my signature lean back and smile. It's just like, yeah, I totally nailed that. And it's true. If you watch it, he gets done and he smiles and he leans back like a cool cat. And it's true. He's really proud of himself. This is where the story actually gets even a little bit better, Luke. So he's really excited. He's like, I nailed that. This question about dreams is definitely going to make it into this documentary. Then they're...
Also, I mean, listen, no offense, because I don't want to take the shine off of this, but he's slightly pulling a Burbs there, where he's like, I'm going to get into the documentary by quoting Hercules.
Oh, sure, yeah. But somebody else.
Where's the attribution, bro?
Yeah, right. So now I'm going to read directly from the Boing Boing article instead of trying to summarize on the fly here. It says, a few months later, he and other students featured in the film were invited by HBO to attend the premiere of the film in New York. Now, I don't know where this was originally, so how far they're traveling, but that must be a huge deal, right? To be traveling to New York to see yourself in a film. To his surprise, his interview wasn't included in the movie itself, but it was added as an outtake at the end of the film. And he recounts that as his part was being played, the whole audience started laughing. He was embarrassed, and he remembers being angry at the producers, thinking that they had manipulated the film to make him look bad. Some of his family members ended up buying the film on VHS, and he said that he had to keep watching it at family gatherings. They would fast forward to it, they would play it, and he hated it. And he said it remained buried until he was in high school. Then in 2011, someone posted the clip on YouTube and it became viral. And then, let's see here, it says it got up to like 85 million views, and that's just one of the YouTube instances of it. And then I guess he did eventually kind of come around to enjoying it. But it bums me out for him to be sitting there with all of these other students, and he's like, I can't wait till they put my part in there. And then it's not in there, and you think you've been left out. And then they put you in as a joke. What am I, a joke to you at the end? And everybody bursts out laughing. Now, if you and I were in that theater, we would have been laughing too. Like, it's brilliant. It's absolutely wonderful. Yes. And he has a great attitude about it now. But at the time, he thought he was going to be a star.
I can totally identify with that feeling of first of all, what his expectation was, but then also there's no way for a kid that age to understand that the reason that the producers made it the tag on the movie, the outtake, is because it's so genius. It's so much better than anything else that happened in the movie. But to have everybody laughing and to have it not be presented in the way you were expecting, that would just be crushing at that age.
Yeah,
I guess the lesson being, and most of the people listening here are our age, or maybe around our age, so they know this, but it's like your perception of stuff as a kid is so different than the perception that you will have as an adult looking back on it,
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
I'm sad for him that he had that period of time where it was embarrassing to him, because if only he could have fast forwarded to like now, realizing, no way, dude, that was so freaking awesome what you did.
And I really like his vibe in the video in which he talks about this. And I could even call it up if you want to. It's just one of those, BuzzFeed videos that has a lot of kind of music tinkling underneath it. So I didn't grab any of the tape. But for the most part, he just seems like, I mean, how much can I tell you about a man that I've seen 4.5 minutes of on a YouTube video?
Well, we know
but
he's a fan of the movie Hercules.
We know that he likes Hercules, but he just doesn't seem like busted in any kind of way. You know what I mean? He seems to have like exactly the right attitude about this, which is like sort of like, yeah, it's kind of a funny story, but it's also like, number one, it doesn't seem like it defines him, or he hasn't like gone and tried to like he's not like in talks, as far as I know, to make the Did You Ever Have a Dream movie or limited series on Fubo or something like that. Like
it's a house with him, the apparently kid, and the Charlie That Hurt guy.
Exactly. Like, it just sort of seems like it's a fun thing from his past that he has kind of come to appreciate for exactly what it is, and nothing more and nothing less.
Andrew, thank you for sharing that with me, and
for the listeners for sending it.
Who weren't familiar. And also, I want to thank the universe for not milkshake ducking that kid.
Yeah.
Not being like.
I do have to tell you about something he posted on Reddit.
The apparently kid, not the apparently kid. The dream. Wait, you're joking,
I'm
right?
Just joking. No.
Oh, phew! Got me scared there.
Don't worry,
Andrew. That hurt.
I'm not going to Ken Bone him here.
Here I go once again with the email. Every week, I hope that it's from a female. Oh, man. It's not from a female.
All right. Email or V-mail before we get on out of here on this Friday.
Yeah, you had one and I had one, right? Both of these are emails. Did you want to share yours first, or you want me to go
mine
first?
Mine is short but sweet. So it's important, Andrew, because it's proving once again that I am not as insane as I seem sometimes. Listener Joyce, on the subject of saltpeter. Remember, we were talking the other day about something, and I made some kind of a joke, probably inappropriately so, about saltpeter. And I said that's something that I had always heard was like associated with like curtailing male arousal. And we were trying to figure out, and then I was looking it up, and the internet was not confirming it for me. Certainly the AI wasn't. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because it has the word Peter in it and you salt the earth. Maybe I just invented this in my brain. And I very quickly just decided I had lost my damn mind. But Joyce was there for me when I needed them most. Joyce says, it was widely referred to as something that inhibited sexual desires in movies, especially related to World War II. You assumed you made it up probably because you're too young to recall the ancient cultural reference and you didn't ask the AI the right question. So what I should have said was saltpeter idea that inhibits sexual desire. As a boomer who watched tons of old films and TV in the 50s and 60s, I recall the teasingly joking references and figuring it out. This is from Joyce, I believe, in Toronto. So this was an international a rumor. By the way, there's no truth to it. So the point is not that saltpeter, because then I looked it up this morning. The point is not that saltpeter has any effect on that at all. It was just a silly urban legend, but it was a silly urban legend that was a feature in movies and TV shows, and so that is how it got into my brain. So I did not completely invent the idea of this, even though it is, in fact, not a factual thing.
And it's interesting that it was in movies and TV shows depicting the military, because when I type in whatever Joyce suggested there, saltpeter male inhibits sexual desire, I just typed that in. Now, the very first thing to pop up is an article from the Military Times from about 4 years ago that says saltpeter for sex drives and the urban legend of the military's libido manipulation. That's
from Boners in Uniform, right? That's my favorite. Reader's
Well, I was
Digest.
going to say, I like the all-girl punk band Libido Manipulation. That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite.
I saw
acts
them
from the
open for
early
L7 at the
Yeah,
Crocodile
exactly.
back in
Very
the 90s.
good. Very good. So anyway, that's really interesting. Well, thanks for being our
Yeah.
fact-checking cuz there.
Yeah, thanks, Joyce.
Appreciate
Listen,
that.
I'm always open to an email that says that I wasn't completely and totally had lost my mind. So thank you, Joyce.
And I wanted to share this. I know you saw this too, Luke, 'cause I think you might have responded to this email today. Lisa wrote in about our conversation about Bill the Beer Man and Rick the Peanut Man. These were two vendors, peanut vendors, beer vendors from the Kingdom here in Seattle way before my day. It came up because your mom... I'm going to say this. I know that she could potentially hear this show. I didn't want to say this to her face, but she brought up a saying that her sister used to say to her when she was talking too much.
I think it was her aunt,
her
Lou,
aunt,
her great aunt Lou.
And it was take your tongue on a sleigh ride, and she thought
Yeah.
that meant shut up, take your tongue on a sleigh ride, stop talking so much, which didn't seem right to me. I think maybe the family
didn't make a lot of sense.
No, it seems like the family was misusing it a little bit. And when I typed in that phrase, the first thing I saw was that, not that it wasn't a phrase, but that maybe it was just the meaning had been mangled, because we learned pretty quickly that a beer vendor, and again, I didn't type in Seattle or anything. I just typed in that phrase about taking your tongue on a sleigh ride, and the first thing that popped up was that there was a beer man named Bill the Beer Man, who you remember from the Kingdom days, who would yell something like, take your tongue on a sleigh ride, cold beer, ice cold beer here. And that's what kind of got us talking about these two legends. And you actually had experience with them, right? Like you saw them
Yes,
in person?
more so because I was a little too young for beer in those days. Although that guy was iconic, it was really more Rick the Peanut guy, who, as I mentioned the other day, his whole thing was he was a master at throwing bags of peanuts to people behind the back. And he had like created this technique where he would kind of make sure he would crumple the foil bag that had the peanuts in it so that it was, not going to come apart. And then he would and he could do this like from, very far away from the person. And the fun part too, and I kind of said this the other day, was like, he'd be going peanuts. And as a kid, like if, on the rare occasion I could get my dad to spring for peanuts, or maybe I'd have my own money, you'd kind of signal him and he'd give you a nod. Like you were now on his radar, but he wasn't going to just come over and hand you the peanut. So he's going to work the section. And at some point he was going to give you another look, almost with a Peter Falk as you wish glint. And then that meant he was about to fire a bag of peanuts at you from behind his back, and it would come right to you.
Well, I will say, though, as I'm clicking around a little bit more, this expression, take your tongue on the sleigh ride, it's not... the internet does not have a million examples of it, or like people saying, like any kind of idiom, antiquated or modern, there are a million websites that are going to give you the background on it. And it doesn't seem to be that. It looks like some people are attributing it to very loosely to like an ice cream vendor, and that would make a lot of sense, right? Like if you're selling ice cream cones, take your tongue.
that's a sleigh ride for the tongue.
Exactly, and I'm wondering, but then here's somebody else who's saying, some people said, why don't you freeze your teeth and give your tongue a sleigh ride, which that would appear to be closer to what your mom maybe was saying.
Again,
that
sounds
her
like a
family-
lot of work.
I don't know. It's just
First, you got to freeze the teeth.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Bill the Beer Man heard the the ice cream kind of idiom,
right.
and then he just kind of modified it for his beer sales.
Yeah, my mother still spouts. This is just some rando online. My mother still. Sorry, Trisha, for referring to you as a rando. Trisha, somebody who left a comment in February of 2010. My mother still spouts a lot of gems from her childhood. Her two favorites are, "Why don't you freeze your teeth and give your tongue a sleigh ride?" A phrase she used often in the presence of my son, who would never stop talking. So I now feel like I
Wow, that's
disrespected
kind
your
of-
mom at the beginning of this conversation again. Add it to the list. Sorry, Susie. But anyway, I thought that was all interesting. Let me share more of Lisa's note here. She says, I grew up in Seattle, and I was I love this. I want to know if this rings any bells for you, Luke. I was a Pepsi Junior Mariner in the very early days of the Mariners in the Kingdom. Parenthetically, a whole posse of kids and two dads would pile in the wagon and go to about 7 games every season on some super cheap deals. That was a Pepsi Junior deal, apparently. Did you ever take advantage of that?
I didn't, but I was very envious.
You were aware of the
people
Pepsi
who
Juniors?
I'd hear them announce it. They'd be promoting it in the Kingdom to the 8 people that were there. Join the Pepsi, probably still Tom Hut 1, Hut 2 Hutler. Join the Pepsi Junior Mariners, and we weren't a Junior Mariners family, but yeah, no, I thought that was very cool. Any association with the team, being able to say that I'm a Junior Mariner, I mean, that would have been dope.
It would be interesting if you would have ended up being a Pepsi guy instead of a Coke guy had you been part of that posse.
I bet you that's part of. Well, they just sponsored it because they're trying to do name recognition, but it would be funny if that was also part of like Pepsi's attempt to. I mean, they did call themselves the voice of a new generation.
Yeah,
maybe they were just like, we're gonna get kids associating with Pepsi. I mean, probably that's what they were doing.
Get them young, yeah. Let's see here. Lisa says that, referring to Bill the Beer Man.
I was
Rick,
a
peanut
Camel
guy.
cigarette youth.
Yeah.
So that worked.
There were dozens of us. Lisa says, I have a lot of memories of both of those vendors and, of course, watching the team from the absolute back of the dome in the top deck. So that's where those Pepsi Juniors
That
were.
was the thing about any of those promotions, any of those, like, deals where it was like, and get, special discount tickets. It was like, you got the worst seat at the games that literally no one wanted to go to.
Yeah. Now, Lisa says, a big standout memory for me is a little later. My friend Laura's mom and stepdad were big baseball fans, and in the 80s and early 90s, maybe, they got married and had a small reception at their house. A small reception at their house, but Bill and Rick were at the reception passing out beer and tossing peanuts, literally tossing peanuts.
Amazing.
This is from Lisa in Bend, says, I love this walk down memory lane. I'm jealous. I wasn't even a Mariners fan. I didn't even live here. I didn't know what a Mariner was.
It never even occurred to me. Talk about thinking outside the bag.
Yeah.
Like, of course, these guys were they were local celebrities, and my guess would be that they made good tips, and they probably were, they were making a pretty good living for what they were doing. But it is kind of seasonal work, if you think about it. There's not a game every single day. And so, of course, Rick would come to your barbecue or party and throw peanuts probably for a reasonable fee. Like, of course that was doable, but man, that would have exploded my mind.
Yeah.
If I showed up somewhere and he was there slinging peanuts.
I'm going to put you on the spot because I've been thinking about this for the past couple of minutes, and I can't think of an example that's perfect myself. But what would be the equivalent of that today? Because at first I was like, it'd be like having Aaron Goldsmith. But that's not right, because he's an announcer. That's a bigger role in the organization. He works for the Mariners. Like somebody who's more like a more of a people's hero. Would it be like like somebody dresses up green for the Seahawks games? I don't know those people.
It'd probably be like Painted Hawk, or back in the day, Big Low, the guy with the big sea fence sign.
Yeah.
Like, probably that's the closest thing we have. But again, not to end the week on a predictable but kind of, complaining note. But I'm guessing that whoever is in charge of the concessions at the Mariners game would frown upon a concessions person throwing the peanuts behind their back. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we don't have as many of these kinds of folks because I think that we just live in a world with more rules and liability and more corporate greed is all part of it. Just like, I just don't think it's a place that is as conducive to as many characters kind of developing in the way that it was. And so, yeah, I can't, like, for instance, and I don't go to nearly as many Mariners games as you do, but like, are there any concession folks at the Mariners games that you remember that come around? And I mean, I know they have concession people, but a lot of it now seems like you're buying it actually from the concession stand.
Oh, they do come around. They do come around. And I can't compare to the oldie days. I'm just guessing that it's less of that than it used to be because you're right. There's so many concession stands around. And I mean, and this gets into a little bit of a kind of a back in my day vibe, which I don't even really have a back in my day for this kind of experience.
Andrew Cody here with back in his day.
That's right. I'm still mad that Cody never took my suggestion of writing about how light bulbs are such a Michigas these days. Oh, I was taught that I've been using Michigas wrong.
Okay, I feel like I use Michigas semi-regularly and probably wrong as well. I think of Michigas. Well, why don't you tell me how you've been using it and who told you that you're using it wrong?
Well, it wasn't me. It was actually somebody. I guess it was a very good-humored person who I think Genevieve used this in a work meeting, Michigas, because it is a great word, and I think she used it in the manner that, and I don't want to malign her if I'm misunderstanding this, but the way I always think of Michigas is just like a big mess. It's just like a chaos and there's a big mess. Things went off the rails. We have a Michigas here, but I guess it has to have more of like kind of a clownish or humorous sort of context. Like a Michigas isn't just like I spilled chili all over the carpet. The Michigas is two literal clowns came in here in a clown car. One of them squirted me in the face with a flower, and then I spilled chili all over the carpet. I don't know if I have that exactly right, but that's
I think
my
it would be, it'd be more like if you were being crazy. So, like, isn't it like Meshuggah is crazy in Yiddish? So I think Michigas is that. I think it would be like the chili. This is how I would use it, like, or try to, like, the chili got spilled because you were balancing it on your forehead.
Yeah, doing something silly. Okay,
it was a Michigas.
Yeah,
it was crazy behavior by you that created the situation.
So you knew that. Yeah, I think I was just using it wrong.
But I also think there were many years where I was also just meaning any kind of just like a messed up situation, like but not because of crazy behavior. So like traffic was a Michigas. Was it? Well, it would be if a small clown car broke down and all the clowns got out and started doing the Macarena.
Right.
That would be Meshuggah of them.
Or if a truck that was carrying bowling balls and honey crashed and they all
Which one weighs more?
Well, if you drop a bowling ball
I saw a guy, honey. I was sending something back at the UPS store. Boy, we got to go. I know you got people to see and places to be. But one thing I've noticed, because I live alone and because I do still order a lot of things online, more than probably I should, and then I do sometimes return those things. Like I ordered a rice cooker and then I decided I'm going to just learn how to cook rice in a pot, and I did, and now that's what I'm doing. I don't need the rice cooker. It's a unitasker, as you like to say, Andrew. So I took it back and I realized returning things to Amazon, or as some call it, Amazon.
I would
get in the zone, Amazon. Returning things to Amazon is extremely female coded, except me. When I am standing in that UPS store with my Amazon return, it is me and about 12 other people in line with our boxes, and I am every time the only male with my box. It's very much like, it seems to be, and I'm not saying this is how it should be, it just feels like it's very... it's something that usually falls to, I think, the women in a household environment for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you think of that, because I
think it's just part of a larger way that our society remains
You
gendered.
think it's that, like, it's this kind of like the work that kind of for the whole family that tends to fall on the woman, or it could also have to do with like demographics of who's doing more online shopping for things that are potentially returnable. Like I have a thing, I don't relish in breaking things down by gender, especially for me, because I don't think that I fall in line with a lot of the stereotypes, but like I really do hate the idea of returning things. And like I just don't think Genevieve does. Like Genevieve will just she'll buy something online, and usually the things you have to return, not always, but often, are maybe a clothing item because it didn't quite fit right, you know?
Yes.
And even though I'm not using Amazon anymore, and Amazon makes it so easy to return things, a lot of companies do. They have to. That's what the standard is. And I still use Stitch Fix sometimes to buy, like, you know, shirts or you know, clothing or whatever. And I bought a pair of shorts I was very excited about that it fit all of my you know, the size seemed right, but for some reason this brand of shorts came and they just did not fit me. And I was like, oh God. And I'm like Paul Rudd pout stomping, like, I want to return this thing. And all I had to do was put it back in a plastic bag, put a sticker on it, and literally hand it to somebody at the UPS store that is a block from my house. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal, but like I just have this mental block about it.
Well, I think there's a couple of different sort of versions of this. So when I was living in Portland proper and I would take something back, there was an easy return place, you know, because Amazon owns Whole Foods. A lot of Whole Foods have these like Amazon return hubs in them. And when I would be in those lines, I would text Becca. I always call Becca a return girly because that's her. She buys clothes online, not really from Amazon per se, but she buys clothes online without being worried about if she has to return them. She's just like, yeah, I'll buy. She hates trying on clothes in the store. She'll buy clothes in the store without trying them on. Go home, try them on, be like, yeah, not for me. And then has a new errand she has to do of returning them. That to me seems insane.
Yeah, I also hate trying things on at the store, but I would rather do it at the store and at least know that I'm not coming back.
But I'd always be texting her in that line at the Whole Foods because it would be me and a number of women who appeared to be returning clothes who were, you know, just bore a lot of outward similarities to Becca, a certain kind of look, a certain kind of fashion, a certain kind of what I perceive to be lifestyle of living in the pearl of Portland and returning that thing that you bought from Lululemon online that you didn't really want and you're returning it, you know, through this whatever thing. But the ones at the UPS store down in Longview, that feels more like the labor of being the wife and mom in the family, you know, who knows what's in those boxes, but it's like, you know, your husband is at his, you know, more typical whatever 9 to 5. You may also have a job, but somehow your job has a little bit of flexibility because somehow you're standing in this UPS store at 2 p.m. on this Thursday. And I'm there because I'm a podcaster and I live alone and there's no one to return the stuff except me.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get Bubbles back in your life and send Bubbles down to the store with your little package to return things for you.
Yeah, maybe just put her in one of the boxes and mail her off somewhere.
I think about that story a lot. Do you remember when that poor little kid? I mean, everything turned out okay, which is the only reason I'm bringing it up. But like, yeah, it was a true accident, and the family was just absolutely. Yeah. Well, they were bereft when they thought they lost their cat, and then it turns out that their cat crawled into a box that they were shipping back to Amazon because cats will do that all the time. I think Bingo does this all the time. He sees a box, he goes into box. That is it. Yes. That is like the straight line of logic for this cat.
Let's not overcomplicate it.
Let's not overcomplicate it. Is that a box? Oh, I'm a cat. I'm going to go in that box. And so some poor son of a gun of a cat was shipped I don't know how long it took, but it was many days before the cat was returned to its owner. I believe an Amazon worker found the cat or opened the box with the cat in it, and the cat ended up being okay, and they reunited. So I wouldn't even bring that up if that was not the ending of that story, but I think about it a lot.
Yeah, I'm very well. A, Bubbles doesn't live here, and B, I'm very, very careful I check these boxes for any kind of wildlife before I return them down to the store. So I feel like I was going somewhere with that UPS store story outside of the gendered nature of it, but you know what? Honestly, I think we had more than enough from me this week, and I think we can probably call this good.
What did we? Because I know I was. It doesn't matter. I didn't have anything great to say. I was just going to talk about the vending situation changing at ballparks, and that's what got you on that. And I can't remember what about vending at a ballpark led to returning.
One thing I was going to say about the ballpark concessions was, and this is real back in my day, it's that the food now at the baseball stadium is so varied.
Yeah,
it's not conducive to being carried around in a crate. You know, you're not going to bring around sushi. Maybe, I mean, you could, I guess, but it's like it used to be.
Yeah.
Hot dogs, peanuts, Cracker Jacks. It was pretty straightforward. And now the appeal of the stadium is this whole wide variety of food, and just it's not designed to be carried around the same way as the stuff in the 80s when I was going.
Yeah, because people are coming to the ballpark for things like it was one of the only places where you could get that fancy, what is it, Modi pizza or whatever. People are coming for these. It's like, and that's fine. Like, but not everybody who comes to the ballpark is there because they love the game, which totally makes sense. So I think it's fine. I'm not like trying to, cast aspersions on that, but it is just different, and you're just not going to be, like you said, slinging sushi rolls through the stands.
I am thinking about, on Thursday, getting one of those ferries with some JoJo's in it. That actually looks kind of fun.
Yeah,
to me.
those look really good. Yeah.
Yeah, if the next time we dial up, Andrew, and you see I have a ferry, a little ferry, whatever you want to call it,
ferry boat.
Vessel,
yeah, I
ferry boat,
ferry boats.
But behind me, you'll know that I succeeded in my mission. So anyway, all right, that is going to do it for today's episode and bring us to the end of our broadcast week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for all these hours. We're going to be back here on Monday with more Imaginary Radio for you. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.